Mute that right up hand. Alright, we'll give this a few minutes and see if anybody pops in. Somebody else gave it a light. It must be somebody else popping in here. Let's see what happens here. Right. Ooh, 166 subscribers. A few people are subscribing. Thanks for anybody who is. I appreciate it. I know I've not been very active here. I've been pretty busy at work, busy at the house, but I'm going to try to make more time. It should slow down a little bit now that it's winter, because I really can't do much outside in the winter. My hands just won't allow it. Look around. If you get a few people in or not. Looks like it's rolling pretty good. I'm gonna have to get a better camera soon. Better cameras soon. And this not a bad camera, but boy, it sure could be better, couldn't it? Kind of fuzzy. Not exactly the cleanest. Alright. More dregs off this yucky smoke. Check something here actually. Good. Because I set up a compressor. Or, I'm sorry, a noise gate. Gotta see if the background noise is getting through. So I really should undo this for a minute. Gotta see if the background noise is getting through. So I really should undo this for a minute. Wow, that sounds actually pretty decent. The background noise. But that's the problem. It comes through high enough. Comes through loud enough that it won't. It'll continually start cycling. I have to shut it off. So it don't keep continuing. So it's going to cycle for about another 10 or 12 seconds, whatever the delay time is from when I just shut it off. Interesting that it is showing. Well, I guess that's right. Yeah, this side. Yeah, that's right. Okay. It's showing me that everything's backwards here on the screen, but it's as if you're looking at it from the camera, so it would be as if you were sitting over there. Yeah. If I was sitting over there, that's what I'd be seeing. See? Do. All right. So, as you can see, the front shocks are quite straight up and down. Here, maybe over this way. A little bit better. Oh, lady's seeing something. Here she comes.
Dude, Richard Medhurst.
Yeah.
Is totally going on.
Who's that?
I think he's that Palestinian guy. He always is, free Palestine.
Oh, okay. I know the guy.
It's a good thing the door is closed. I've never heard anybody say the F word so many times.
That's why I care less about that shit. Oh, you don't have to close it, But I guess that works anyways. So, as you can see, the shocks are pretty straightforward, and actually almost maybe leaning a bit forward. It sure looks like that in that pic. Turn a little bit forward. I don't think I can get any more there. Nope. As forward as I'm gonna get. So that looks pretty straight there. Come this way a little bit and see if that changes it a tad. Yeah, there you go. It's a little better looking on that side. So yeah, you can see that it's a bit more, almost leaning forward a little bit. And obviously that's not the greatest position to be in. At least straight up and down or a small tilt backwards. I'm gonna probably end up having to go, at least for now, a little bit more than a small tilt backwards. But that's what we're going to work on tonight. And I already had the body off a little bit, so I gotta take a couple screws out here, which is all it takes anyways. I only got 2 screws to hold the whole body on anyways. But they're already mostly screwed out. Put those there, pop that off, and put you here. I'm gonna grab you. Couple pieces of, oh goodness, hiccups is what we got, a couple pieces of. There's a double-sided tape on here to help stop any body rub. I'll leave that on, but I might not even need it after I'm done here. Put these out of the way for now. And what we're gonna do is, what we have is the VS410 chassis kit, using SSD Trail King front and rear shock towers on it. Got the VS410s here that would mount right here up front, and they would actually they sit a little bit lower, and they would actually drop the shocks a little lower, and I'm actually running the SSD shocks as well. So in the setup, it made sense if I could make these shock towers work, seeing that they're made for the right ride height for at least the Trail King chassis, which is modeled off the SX10-2, which the VS410 is as well for the most part. Then the shock should work a little bit better. And basically they do. The trick was how was I going to mount these shock hoops on the VS410 chassis? Because there's, SSD shock hoops, holes, blah, blah, blah. Well, as the case would turn out, the SSD shock hoops hole positioning was like 0.5 millimeter off from the already drilled stock holes in the VS410 chassis. So it was basically screw one side in and the other side, give it just a little pull to set the screw. You really didn't even have to do that. You put the screw in, started screwing nice and square, and when it got tight, it just pulled the shock tower a little bit, which is actually really made these shock towers, pretty rigid, because it has got them set up pretty good. But they still flex a little bit. And I will probably end up putting a bar between them just to help make them very rigid so they can't do that. At least in the front. The backs aren't so bad. They're a lot more rigid. But this shock angle, as you can see here with the body off, is not as desirable as it should be. And I can do this. So I got to looking, and we have these 2 mounts, which I believe are for the transmission here. I've left them. I've not taken them out. They're not doing anything, and I'm not using them. But for the time being, oh, okay, they are part of that mount bracketing system. I'd have to actually cut them. Go ahead and take these. I've thought about cantilevering the back, but because the shock mount holes fit, I was able to do the same thing and actually move it. I did have to do just a little cutting here to catch this angle properly, to get that cut and centered properly, nice and clean. But actually, yeah, again, same thing. You put the back one screw in, and then the other screw pretty much went in, and you had to kind of just tweak it just a little bit. And I was able to move these from more up and down or light back angle to a more extreme rear angle on the shocks. And I have two mount holes here, so I can move it back one, but I would have to trim out the little back spot on the shock tower to allow for the adjustment ring to ride without rubbing. So I don't want to do that. I considered this. Don't think I'm going to do it, but for the time being, I'll leave them in the trunk, if you will. So I'm going to do the same thing with the fronts because these two bolts here, there's two of them actually on this side. I guess there's two on both sides. The frontmost bolt in each of these is the same distance apart as these two bolts, as are the other two that are up in here that you can move this thing around a little bit. At least the Vanquish shock towers. These SSDs fit the front and back hole, so they only mounted really in the one position. And yes, there are two mounts, hole mounts, and they really should be mounted in the back. So first thing, let's do that. I do have mounted in the frontmost hole, and they are probably just a little too far forward because of that. So this will be one thing we can do for now, temporarily. And as you'll see, this does straighten up the shocks a bit. This is something I really just kind of didn't pay attention to earlier. Just thread them into the front because that worked a little bit better on the stock chassis system, but I'll change all that out. So as you can see now, the front shocks are a bit more straight up and down. That is more acceptable to standards. But to get more capability and a little more pump, and I think I might lower these weight. Can't remember. I may even have to switch the shocks around. I should get a lot more movement than that. Maybe I will have to go to the. That really has none. Wow, I guess I just noticed that a little. I don't think I got limiters in those. So I think I just realized how little bit of rear shock travel I actually have. That's going to have to get worked on. I guess I didn't really pay attention to that before. I just got done moving these things. Well, I guess the last time I really spent time on this truck a month ago. I'd seen that and moved them forward and never considered how short they were. So I might have to do something here anyways. So could move them back a little bit. I don't know that I've got another hole there, though. I'd actually have to put one in this position to bring these shocks back. Of course, I can take them to the back a little more. I probably have these two shock towers backwards, actually, if I really thought about it. I'm thinking I do, actually, yeah. That's one thing I'll have to do is flip these shock towers around, at least to start with, and go from there. So let's do that first. This will be a little bit faster, tentatively. These suckers slipped real quick. Will that be enough? it over and double check that and just see. I think it might be white on there, so I have to put them in there. I'm gonna move these back one hole. I think I gotta get a nut on the back side of that front bolts now. I think I had to do that before and didn't have it quite done. Right, nothing there. Double check what's going on there for a minute. Around the way it looks a little better in on there. I thought earlier I had something wrong in the first place, but I paid much attention to it. And obviously you got a few places with these where you can move these shock towers here. Do go ahead, tighten this sucker up decently. You go there, go ahead and tower on. Now I may end up actually going back to the VFD, the Vanquish rear shock towers, just because I'm can get a little lower positioning on the shock tower, and that will then, yeah, she is rubbing there. But these are made to be up and down. You really don't lower it that much. A little bit, but boy, not much really. I am going to have to do that. Alright, let's see. Screw you in here because you're not going to bend anything. It's not really. And stretch it a little bit. Pretty good. Off a little bit. Up heads. Well, fine. For a moment. So looking at this, now it's starting to show that maybe I should do potentially the cantilever rear end just to get at a better shock angle, but better travel. So we'll see. We shall see. Can't put that in there. Weigh a little bit, just so it's tight, but not terribly tight. Yeah, I gotta take this off. Just cover rear rear shock bolt a tad. do this one. I'm going to take a little bit more off it, just so it rides a little bit better there. Okay, that'll work for the moment though. Use just a little bit of play area. Okay. Stop right about there. Yeah, I could really use some more. I guess that's actually better. That's way better. I don't get all the way up though on this unit without hitting the tray. So I guess I could trim that tray out. You know how it's sitting and where it's sitting. Alright, let's bypass the rest of that for the moment. I'll get back to that in a few. That's at least now it's it's pretty much the full shot travel before it's into the, not all, but most. And I think if I trim this off just a bit, it will work better. So I'll have to get some trimming done and get some screws and nuts on the back of those. But anywho, back to the fight at hand. We'll see how this works. Because everything looks right here. I should pop these two out. And move them right back. This one's going to go back to ways back to there. Be here. Do that and go ahead and pull this one out. Very short, so it should be good with this one going through the hoop and the hole. To the hole. Oh yeah, on that one. Now, it's definitely laid back. Probably too far. I don't think I got it one forward, one more for us. Too far back. Hole forward on the front, but there is no hole here on the chassis. So I'd actually have to create one. That is in a better position though. Like the back, I would need to trim the fronts out. Do this one. Okay. Yeah, the shock tower would have to be trimmed out a little bit like it did in the back to catch the curve. Back where it belongs here. But I think once I do that, get that to set flush, drop it down, that matches the angle a little bit better. Gonna put a little bit more angle on it. I guess the only other option is to create a little hook over the back so hold it straight. But I think if I do this, get them in the front hole, and then turn around. Use this. I don't want things out. It's all plastic. Right. Okay. I think, like I say, if I trim those out, now it's a lot better front shocking. It's not perfect. I can go back a little farther with that. I don't think there's a hole there to move forward, is there? No. Even if I move one more forward where this other screw's at, I'd still have to end up drilling an extra hole. That would give me a little bit more upright. But I think that angle is about 12 now, maybe 17, 16 degrees. Find my protractor and find out that's, good enough. I don't think it's too much, even though it will, like I say, come down a little bit. Let me get it mounted here. This ain't gonna move much until I get a little trimming on that sucker. And actually, I did do a hole close to the top. And just nut and bolt on the back side of the chassis. That will hold it in a pretty nice position. Now, rear shock towers, I've readjusted a smidge. They gotta be redone. So let's see what's going on here. Oh yeah, I have lowered it a little bit. I can take it down a smidge lower, but actually that's not bad. That leaves the front a little bit looser because she was really tight on these things. But that actually, I am bottomed out on not both sides. There we go. Now I'm bottomed out. Actually, that's all right. That's still touching, not hard, but touching. And hopefully, when it's all done, that will keep it. Now, I'm still going to have to do some trimming because I'm still getting into the body, as you can see here. I come up. I don't want to do a lot, but I want to do something. Get out of that. More. Go. Now, you see, I still got a fair bit of hit considering how much movement there actually is. A lot of movement, but a lot of body. See, I'm there. A little better angle at it right there. Getting a better idea. I don't want to cut all the way up there. cutting out with that. It keeps the body pretty darn low. Really does. I think I'm going to go ahead and do the trim on the front shock towers a little bit. And then turn around and get a hole drilled in the back. They have to drill an extra hole, but it is what it is, and that's okay. Won't be that big of a deal. And then turn around and have to trim the backs, shock towers a little bit because they're a little different positioning than what they were up front that hard. What's up, Bush? How you doing, man? Yeah, just sitting here. I don't know when you popped in, if you just popped in, but I'm just kind of doing some shock tower adjustments, trying to get them in better angles and positions. They're a little too much in the back. I moved it, getting a little better movement in area. I still got to tighten up the back shock towers. Same thing with front, move them back a little bit. Trying to get a little better angles and make it work a little bit better. Hey, Kurtz, how you doing? But yeah, so I'm just playing with this thing a little bit, trying to adjust, hoping to get the body a little lower. I don't have it a little lower, but it is. The shocks, I think, will sit a little bit better in this position and work a little better over the long run once they're back fully together and in the right, tightened up and mounted fully. What to do with this back, though? At least I do get full twist both ways now, but I'm just not getting full compression there. I guess I could. The trick is with these, you mount about the same height. I actually need to get them a little bit lower. Yeah, see, it ain't gonna be any lower. Not at all. Well, yeah, as you can see, they're kind of mounted to the frame, and this is the SSD shock tower. This is the Vanquish shock tower. Mounting height is about the same, but I wanted to get it a little bit lower. I guess I could always get some keys, which would be, possibly the way to go. Give me a little standoff area here, so I could put a couple keys up in here, just to get, or even, hell, I can make some. I don't even need keys. I just need a couple pieces that can be mounted up on these two holes and allow me a place to mount my shock a little lower, actually, so I get a little bit more travel out of my rear end here. I think that's the way to go. Instead of keys, I can actually make something pretty easy. Might be the better way of going, I think. But when I had the shock towers forward, I did get out and test it a little bit this summer after I got her pretty much built enough to get out and get a good test. When I had my original Mini V2, BEC went to hell on me on it. So they swapped it out. It was, a couple weeks after I'd had it. So they went ahead and swapped me out to the RTR unit. And I went to a BEC on all my servos and powering the RX. So my onboard BEC on the Holmes Hobby V2 Mini isn't powering anything. It's just dormant. But at any rate, I was able to do some really nice lines with it. None of my other rigs were able to do out back here in my area. So I think if I get these shocks adjusted a little bit front and back, it'll be really, really quite a capable rig for not being an LCG chassis or a cheater rig or anything else like that. Pretty much everything in here is a nice solid piece of equipment except for a couple pieces. We've got a China front end bumper. and which I've cut up and modified, which I got to finish doing to make it clean it up, make it look better. And then this cheap China, two cheap China 3-gear trannies, one with counter rotating shaft, one with a dig unit, mashed into one tranny. So I got a full 3-gear sitting over here on the side, ready to go. And it with the Holmes, man, it's very tight, very slow, good wheel control, very capable. I just need to do a little modifying to get these things set. I don't know if I still want to do cantilever, although that would really make it easier for my last mod that I want to really do, which is the bed. So a cantilever setup would make it easier, it would give me my full travel, and probably make it easier to mount my bed. So I am leaning towards using the cantilever in the back. That may be the smartest thing I could do. It would save me a little bit of hassle with the whole rear end. What I'm going to do with that, everybody's got their own versions, and there's a few companies out there making a flatbed rear end. Some of them with real wood on it, but man, they don't like the way they look, don't like the way they set, don't like the way they ride. They're heavy and they're high, and they set on the top of shock towers and look like an industrial flatbed instead of a homeowner's truck that's got a flatbed on it. So we're going to make one, and I'm going to use one here. Put it off the back, even though it's long as hell because I haven't trimmed them. But this will sit about like that. And I'm going to, cut and glue myself up an actual wood flatbed, and like we used to see when we were young whippersnappers out there. I'm going to have, wood rail sides and then have it cut on an angle, so come down maybe two pieces, one out here to the shock tower and one up front. Of course, there'd probably be more here, and come down just off this side, and, angle with the shock pretty much, if that shock stays there. But without those shock towers and shocks, I do the cantilever, well, then I can get this thing to, mount out here and have an actual, two rail side and a bunch of wood bedding. So that's my concept and idea of what I want to do. I think I can get one more piece in there, but if I didn't have those shock towers, well, that would work great. So it is leading me more to a cantilever setup, which may work pretty decently on this rig. Something to think about. I may try that. Yeah, I mean, I think if I mounted to the frame, though, on the top, it'd be way too deep. I mean, that would really, really push these shocks down, and I think make far too big. Let's take a look. I'm going to just make far too much rear end drop. Going in there straight either. Thing. But the only, I guess I could go there. Let's see how that might play out. Loosen this because these ain't going in nothing. I'd have to put a. I don't know if that would put too much shock angle in there. We all know too much just makes it floppy. And then if it's too floppy in the rear end, you're not going to get no support when you're trying to crawl up, because it's just going to fold up underneath the weight of everything sitting on it. Come on. Really only the one spot here. That's unless again I do a shock key setup. Let's play with that idea for a minute. So I did shot key. I could keep it very low and leave me more room for the bed. Let's take a look. Nothing hurts to peek. Just a couple screw moves. Got two options. I think that's way low. About the right angle. That's about the right height, but damn, that's a soft. I'd really have to make these a firm 90 weight or even heavier shock oil. That's really soft. Too soft, I believe. Yeah, I've seen guys doing the shock, hair ties, rubber bands, those types of things. Yeah, that's just too much. If I did go into this, I can mount it back. That's got a good thread spot in it. Let me try. Just to kind of lock it in a little bit. And then I'll take a look and we'll see what she looks like. Yeah, I'm going to need a little standoff. You're a little too far in, but that's alright. Nothing a nut or similar won't do. Already pulled out a little bit. I guess that's not overly too bad, but it does kick it up a little higher in the ass end. Almost jacks it up. Definitely make it easier going over brakes. It's already got an angle on it. Yeah, it really flattened out in the first hole. Here I think it's too high in the back. Really ain't no other mounts I can go to on the deal. I could put a shorter thing. I could drop the, do the shocks, but 10 spring mod or something to drop it back down. Definitely got all all sorts of room on the top, so yeah, it's too much there. Now if I did keys here, mount a couple of keys right here and just kind of come up a smidge. How far up do I need to do to, or even just a couple stubby type mounts. That was I don't know, man. That ain't less. I think it's too little. Getting way down in the two different positions. That's the one side, and then as you can see on the other, it's going way higher up over here, obviously. I think this is the right shock height for this setup. If I can get that angle a little different, I can always go to the back hole. Here. Get out of that hole for a minute. actually belong in this one. Yeah, at the end of the day, that seems to be the better positioning anyways. Come on, get in there. I know you're there. A little forward. There it is. So yeah, I think that's going to be my better placement, at least as far as if I do the shock tower and stick with it. And again, this is kind of pushed me a little bit more into the cantilever setup on this rig. It would lend itself better to the bed, but I do want it to be capable as hell. There, right position. So I do want to make it, yeah, exactly. I want to make it capable as hell. So I do bottom out right there into the tray. So I think that's the right angle, but I gotta get them lower. So, where is my low spot here? Let me see where about I gotta have my mount. It would have to be about right there. This way. Better up, bottomer out. Well, what did I do there? Hmm, hmm, hmm. Yeah, I can come down almost half an inch, 7, 6, 7, 8 millimeters, just before it bottoms out evenly. But how well you can see that, but move this around all the way up, pretty much level, right about there is where it's sitting. Yeah. Where does it look crooked? Probably just hold. So yeah, it's if I can get them a little bit lower, would be nice. So yeah, I'm gonna have to think about this a little bit. Maybe see what I can come up with for shorter shock towers, which would lend itself a little bit better to me in the wood bed I want to build. I could always build it, especially if I do like a plate iron, or I'm sorry, aluminum plate style. Just rise up. I could actually just whittle the wood away between the slots where it goes over that spot, so the bed would mount there. I like how this rear end or this front end is back a little bit better though. That's what I was going for today. I really wasn't going to pay attention to the back at all. I kind of thought I had it done until I realized how little travel I actually had going on and how squishy it was, which it was. It was too squishy the other way. This ain't so bad. It's a little bit better. Now they're a little bit more upright, but I think I need to get them lower on the top mount here, and that would settle the back down, or just do the cantilevers. Now on the front, like I say, I think I like this once I get her back and in place. I'm going to have to trim these shock covers just a smidge so I can get that stuff out of here and get them to rock, forward. I got to do the same thing if I use these to the back, which will move them a little bit. So yeah, actually, I ain't gonna be another position where I'm getting to it and I can't darn complete it. Kind of bums me out because I was thinking, okay, yeah, I'm looking at it, going, well, that'll work and that'll work really. That's just too much angle going all the way to this next hole back. And even if I flipped them around, it ain't gonna bring it back up enough, I don't think. Well, damn, maybe. Yeah, because it's gonna have to go back another. Let's take a peek. I'm here. It's only time. I have to wait for a minute. You. It's gonna matter right now because I can't put this top or back one in until I actually get it in the right spot. I gotta trim the powers before they'll slip down there. But this actually might work. This actually might work. Trim so that angle goes in there. Let's see how that might not be too damn bad. Both back one. It will drop down a little bit, but it'll kick a little bit more angle when I get the back trimmed a tad and in the right position. Back one. All right. Actually, that ain't too bad. It's a little bit more angle than I want. So yeah, let's go back to the front. That's just a little more angle than I really care to see. I don't want too much angle in the front. I don't want it to slop out very easily. And we can put that back in for now. It can act as a arrestor. No, no. Wait a little bit. Just a little bit. Go on. Not under. screw under a cable. That makes that work, at least for temporary purposes. Yeah, I think that should work better. That's not a bad angle. Go ahead and move it up. Plenty of room. Get full bottoming out. They pretty much bottom out right there. Yeah, I think that would work out pretty well. Now, let's see how she actually sits. Front's a little higher than the back. Right there. Closes right up on that pan heart. That's alright. She's at the end of her limit pretty much when she does it. Within a 8. No, well, a little bit. You know, the difference between the top of the mount and the link mount position. So I could get a little lower on the bottom side. I'm going to have to get a longer screw to go through all 3 pieces. So there is that possibility it would drop it a little bit. Same thing in the back. In the back, it would actually drop it and set the shock a little bit more upright, but the drop would be like 2 millimeters, maybe 3. I don't think that's 4 millimeters. So yeah, there is that possibility you could, or I could move them a little bit. But yeah, see, there's like nothing in the rear right there. That's just too much angle. Yep, too much angle. So that ain't gonna work on the rear. Too much angle, not enough drop. It's just, yeah. The rear's gonna have to come up at least 1. Let's see, do I have another spot here? I don't think there's another hole on the front if I only go back 1 hole on the back hole mount. Yeah, it's not. Back 2 holes to get her in the right position. Decisions. I'm thinking on the rear to remove a whole lot of headache. Cantilever is the smart way to go because I can always adjust where everything sits, so it adjusts the brake angle, whether I go more upright or a little bit more angled on those by where I position the shock. So there is that. Drop some of that weight lower, and nothing wrong with dropping the ZOG pence here and there. That's not bad on the front. Not sure it's not too far back. And I'm thinking it might be. It's almost looking like it is. I have to rethink front shock mount too, because I really thought that would work. I thought it might be too much angle, and yeah, it's looking like it's going to be too much angle if I mount in this position in the front. Because by the time I get this down, it's going to add another top of the shock's going to be here, which is a whole another 1/4 inch on the angle. It's going to get too soft and squishy up front. Yeah, I think I should probably go back to where it was in front. Switch the shock towers back around. Well, not back to where it was, but where I had it just here before I moved it back where it is now. Now I swap shock tower sides. Is that the right thing to do, or should they go back? Let me see. If that goes there, that puts the shock holes forward. shock mount pulls more forward, which is at least a better position in my thought. You don't want too much angle in there. If I mount to the back spot, that's actually not too bad. You just need the angle, full compression. Go ahead and move this one back. The fronts, I think, are going to be a little bit more easier to pinpoint. Like I say here, I just do it this way. Back position, leave the shock towers on the opposite side from where they were earlier, which, changes your shock mounting position a quarter inch, half an inch. I guess that ain't so bad. Overall, that's not a bad position for it. Lots of up travel. Doesn't bottom out. Pretty much complete compression before I'm touching. There might be just a smidge on each shock side that I could get it up a little more. Of course, if I did set the shock mount on the top and the front one, straightening up that angle will give me actually a little bit more. This may actually work out the best right here. I still got to mount the back of the mount, and when I do that, we'll kick the angle a little bit more again. Almost back to where it was. Ooh, yeah, they're almost. Well, they are kind of touching those a little bit. I might have to put a little space or something, just kick them off there. But yeah, overall, not quite straight up and down, close. They will get a little bit more angle when I trim the front shock tower. I think that's going to work the best. I believe. I gotta believe. Does allow me to get this front down a little bit more. Not much. There's a little bit of gap there. When they're moving forward, they're actually rubbing the body. Now they won't be rubbing the body, except for the front grill part on this bumper, and I could always just cut a couple slots there and let that slip down, which is what I'll end up doing. But overall, yeah, I think that is the positioning for the fronts. Like I say, I still gotta get the body all trimmed out a little bit more. I don't know. I almost have to trim it right up to that damn line, or at least close to it. Good in the back, but boy, it will take a whole bunch of that body out. Way more of the body off in the front there than I wanted to. But that may be what, maybe what it is. Hard. Yeah, rear shocks. That's just not enough. I've got so much more on them. Shit, I got almost half an inch of shock shaft hanging out and she's bottomed out. So yeah, at the end of the day, I'm thinking cantilever is more and more looking like the way I'm gonna end up with the back. She's just setting a little too low in the back. It really should be at least level with the front for the most part. And if I do, like say, pull this back one more, now we're getting a little bit too upright. I like that angle position. Let me take a peek, I guess. We'll see what it says in the eyeball. Another look. Right here. Be a back one. Pull there, so I'd have to drill one in there. Let's set up the shock a little bit more. Give me a little bit more ride height. Okay. Let's see. Yeah, I gotta get a little bit of adjustment out of the spring, but it's not gonna allow it to come up anymore. That was being pretty much dead stopped by just too much, not enough distance. I'll stop it right out. Yeah, so the issue there is, like I say, adjust the spring will adjust a little bit of how it sets. If you tighten it up, it would push it up a little bit, but it's still not in the pretty much the right position to really work right. Ow. You in there. A little bit. That's still just, that's even tightening up springs. It's gonna, just push the rear end up okay, but it's still not. I guess that's closer. I guess that's better than it was. Quite a bit. Yeah, maybe this is where she's gonna have to ride. Those set pretty much smooth, so that's in our right position. Now I just may have to put a couple holes here in this position on the chassis and mount them there. I think I like the front in this position better. Like I say, I've got to do something here to either mount it like that, maybe create a little clip so it can clip right over the frame chassis, edge. put that on there, and then a nut, and just kind of sandwich it nice and tight right there. And then add a bar between them. And then get a little bit more out of this right now. I could always come back a little bit more. If I come back a little bit more, I'm not going to have to drill. That's a given. Because this next hole back will give me access to holes that are threadable. If I do that, it'll probably flip the shocks back around, which will give me a little bit more front angle. Jeepers creepers. But you got better clearance anyways. There is that. Yeah, it ain't looking too bad. I think if I actually do trim and drill the chassis for this rear front spot, get those front shocks just a little, because they won't go much. They'll kick back about a 1/4 inch from where they are. So instead of being here, they'll be about here. And I think that's a good shock angle. Let me take this and put it up here. Or about, it'll mount just about at the front of that body post. How much see that underneath or not. So yeah, that ain't too bad. And then you look at the angle. So your angle will be about like that. Just about like that. That's go upside, kick that back. That might work a little bit better. I think I can live with that angle. At least if that is what it was on the front. And make it work. Or I can mount them like they are. Like I say, do a little clamp mount to the chassis rail here. On this part, get it clamped to this top part of the chassis rail, just a little clip of some sort that I can screw it in the chassis. That'll pinch it right tight there and hold this side down. I could always kick the shock back, so I got 2 mount holes here, so I could bring it back one. We did that. Faster way. See the shock angle here. Yeah, that's actually not so bad. Actually not too bad. A little drop in. Springs can get some adjustment. Not overly bad. Long now. Yeah, I think that could work out. At least for the front. Like I say, I could drop them down, mount, drill a hole, drop them, get them mounted, move them to the front. And I think that'd be good. And if I could use more angle, then I could move to the back mount. Or mount it right where it's at, which I might try. Try a little clip system, which I can, mount to the back of the front hoop and then flip right to the top of the chassis rail instead of the middle of it, which will leave everything in its current orientation right there, which I think that's pretty good. I can go a little straighter with the front shock shaft or a little back for a little tuning option. I think with the backs, that's better. It still looks like the back is setting a little lower than the front, especially when it's all the way up, fully extended up front. If I move that back one, just one, and then switch sides, try that again. Take another look. Let's move another bolt here. Out of here, move back forward. Come out of here. Think. Oh, that was close. Whoopsie. Round, flip to one position. Okay. Back over hell. Good. because I did trim these for that big old spot. Now they're a little weak here because they're all the bottom that locked them in solid is kind of gone. But something I'll probably end up having to replace is just get different or new rear shock towers just so they're more stable. Well, that does give me more appears to be a bit better. See how that angle looks. Much. That. Push it forward. That adjusted. Well, should do pretty good now that it's at least slightly better together and more solid. Let me rock that in there, tighten that up. Let's see. Not a hell of a lot. Once she starts lifting. A fist. Got my full fist back there. Right about there before she picks up. About the end of it right there. As you can see, it's just at the very top of my fist. It's just there. And then a little bit more as it starts picking. So that ain't too bad on the rear. I guess that's all right. I'm not looking for side flex, where it can tip right over. A little bit better in the front. I get more. It's, my fist with my thumb on top of it instead of on the side. So that ain't too bad. I might try to go with that. I think I'll try to, before I drill the frame here and add another hole, I think I'll try to come up with a way to mount these front shock towers here, make them solid, get myself a support bar between them. Same thing in the back, get them mounted, make them solid, get myself a support bar between them, just kind of push them apart and make sure they're not collapsing, because that's part of the issue with too much flexing, I think. But overall, yeah, I think that'll work. That's not so bad. Yeah, I'm about to get one twisted, man. You know it. My main goal was to get the front shock towers and the front shocks in a little better position. They had that little forward tip, and once I moved them back, they're better. This isn't perfect, but it's better than it was, and I can still go a little bit more forward with the shock mount. And like say, if I drop these down, this whole thing's going to come back to a little bit even more angle. It'll be pretty much closer. Yeah, because that'll drop about a 1/4 inch, which will move this back about a 1/4 inch. So let's see, that'll be about the angle right there. I'm thinking. And then, like I say, if that's too much, which it doesn't look like it's too much, but it's close. But if that ends up being just a little bit, well, then I can move it to the other shock, which will bring it closer to this one. So I think that's what I'll do. And the more I'm thinking about it, more I'll just go ahead and drill that hole. Coming up with a clamp wouldn't be hard, really. small piece of aluminum with a notch in it that will clamp right over the top, and then just a nut and bolt to pinch it in there. That ain't bad, but I think if I get them a little bit lower, even if I go just down to where it's at the top, which is about, yeah, about there. Do this one that way and take a look. If I just a little trim, that's still a little high in the chassis. Yeah, it's about halfway. I can come down just a little bit further. Get that trimmed out just a smidge here on these spots so I can tip that shock tower a little farther to the back, drill my hole, and if I have to, I can move those forward. They're not going to shift it that much. And as you mentioned earlier, Bush, I could always drop to the other mount, which is not only lower, but a little farther towards the center of the vehicle, which will again straighten up my shock tower a little bit. So there's always that option. I think that's what I'll do. I'll go ahead and drill my hole here. For these, I might just run with that, and if I don't like it, I could always go over to my cantilevers before I put my bed on. I'm going to start working and getting the bed all designed. But at the end of the day, this does at least looks like it seems to sit a little better. A little bit more over there now. About there. Yeah, overall, I think that works out decently. Get this up and just sets a little bit more level. So yeah, I think that's at least in a way better position than it was when I first started, especially on the back, because they were just too low. I didn't realize I did, but it just never like crossed my head that that was really going to drop the travel amount. Not just make it way more squishy, but the travel was just gonna ate right up because there's all the distance there. I would need 120 mil shocks to have that much angle into it and still get some suspension movement. But overall, yeah, that's actually not too bad. I mean, I'd like it to be higher. I'd like to get a little bit more movement, but I think this will work. Like I say, get a bar between here because those are all solid mounted now, just to help stop that so they're not pinching together. Same thing on the front. Once I get the back solidly mounted, I'll probably end up putting a screw on the back, a small washer and screw just to really lock them down. Move my shock forward up a little bit. Yes, even if I wanted to go one more, there's not. I'd have to go two to get to a new hole. So I need a new hole anywhere I go. So I could move forward a little bit more. One more hole here. On this side, I got the panhard mount, so I already modified it a bit. I'd have to modify it more. I don't know that I really want to modify it more. So I didn't do that. I think I just allowed it to move over a little bit. So yeah, I think that's going to work. I'm going to drop that down, trim my shock towers, get them to tip where they need to be, get my hole drilled, get my fronts mounted. I think for rears will be good until I can get out and actually do some testing. Not supposed to be too bad, but I gotta watch the cold. I don't do well, and my hand. Well, I don't do bad. My hands don't like it. But yeah, overall, I think that's at least better than it was, or should work better than it was. Yeah, I definitely got way more movement. I mean, it's still. This ass end could still come up another 8 each, 3/16. I still may cut that back part out just a little bit, just to get the extra up travel right there. That would cut into my box and make it end up making it a little no longer waterproof if I ever wanted to use it for waterproofing. Well, I guess it doesn't matter. It ain't waterproof, is it? Nope, because of those holes right there. So that wouldn't matter anyways. And that takes care of that problem. But I think that at the end of the day, at least is a better option. Not much better, but better. There. But yeah, like I said, my goal basically was to get a little better front end setup, and I think I got that. I think she'll work a little bit better, so let me see if I can figure out how long this thing's been running again. The other day I was looking for my timer mark and I couldn't find it. Oh, there we go. There it is. And then 1 hour and 33 minutes. Hour and 34. Okay. Well, I guess that's pretty good of just kind of dicking around and pushing around and trying to see where things line up. Overall, I kind of like this a little. At least it's more apt to work better than it was. These up here for now. More, a little bit better travel out the rear end where it should be. A little better shock angle at the front, which is what it should have been. Body mounted back to where it was. Let's see how she is. Okay. All right. Yeah, that's the shock towers were way up here. They were quite a bit more forward than where they are right now, which I like this positioning of them, at least on how the body sets on them better because they're not so tight. They were really pushing on it before and actually kind of kicking the body forward a little bit, upward in the front. And at least this way, it doesn't seem to be. Actually, I got a little bit to go down now before it's really pushing on it. Like I said, I could always trim that a little bit and get that up underneath there. Yeah, do that. We got her pinched right up in there. Have ya? Dang nabbit. God damn it, Bobby. Yeah, because I definitely gotta redo this bumper here, as you can see on this side. Right there, tire is hitting it. So I gotta trim off all the sides of these bumpers, get them trimmed a little bit, and then Actually, I could probably, yeah, I will. I'll be able to trim that right out. I'll just trim it right here and come across and just get rid of that excess sheep on both sides. All right. I guess for an hour and 40 minutes, we're not doing too bad. It doesn't seem like I've done a hell of a lot, which I really didn't. It's more just kind of pushing things around, realigning and moving and realigning and moving. So if I did flip those, I'd probably put them in a little straighter position. Push my rear shocks upward, a little bit more upright. Basically just swap these two positions here. And at that point, let's gain back even a little bit more of the rear end. So I guess that's what I'll do next time. I'll re-swap my rear shock towers side to side, put them on the correct sides, and then turn around, get the straightened up there, at least for now. Like I say, I still may go cantilever depending on how that bed works out. I'd like to have it kind of flat, mostly full width, not quite power wagon body, so in a thinner bed. But I'd like to be able to go right on through here without even seeing the shock towers, and the only way to do that would be cantilever. So there's that possibility. Could work, might do it. We'll see. But anyways, I think I'm gonna go ahead and pop it off. One. Thank everybody for hanging out. Hit the like, share, subscribe if you could. Long way to go to get to 1,000 people before this channel becomes monetized, but miracles happen. But I was off RC stuff. I started a podcast around 2014. I think I'm going to start doing that again. And if I do that, I'll be moving my RC channel. Well, got to kind of figure that out because I got two channels that could both work for that. But because I like These Old Flapping Lips as a title name, but my other channel on YouTube is set up more of the show name that it was. So that's kind of associated. So yeah, I may just leave it. That's more about politics, history, conspiracy, not necessarily conspiracy theories, but there is a lot of theoretical contemplation happening. But I've had conversations with a few interesting people in the year or so a year and a half I did the podcast. Mostly it was just me flapping my lips, which kind of is where that name come from, out of that realm, but had nothing to do with RC. But anyways, it's called Timothy Locke's Perception Deception Channel, or Perception Deception Show. Here, I'll pop a link into it. I haven't done nothing on it in about 5 years. I think 2015, 2016 was, so 6 years was the last time I had uploaded anything to it. But I got some of my old podcast shows from when I was doing them on Blog Talk Radio, download, closed the account out, some of the best ones, and then moved them over here onto my YouTube channel that I had back then. Let me see. Come on, hurry up. Here, Creator Studio, and then I'll get my channel link. Come on. That's like hurry up and wait. See, where is comments, settings, close. Alright, give me a minute. Oh, dash. Analytics, my channel. Well, settings. Where the hell am I now? It. No. Where did it go? I thought there was a spot here where it said there. We think that's the one. Not as many videos on this channel. Where? Oh, where? They used to give you a damn link. Well, what in the P? They used to give you a link to where the public would see your damn channel, as opposed to the back alley link. Well, alright. I won't do it this way. I just do it in my home. Let me open this in this other browser just real quick and make sure it works. I think it, yeah, it looks right. Yep. Oh, I can figure it all out. Just they used to have a link. When you go to your YouTube page, it would have a link for public viewing, so you could see what the public viewed, and that would give you a different link than what that one is, a different line. But that works, and it takes you to it. So that's my other channel. It's been around a little bit longer. If you're into cannabis, is a really good interview with, which I'm sure you'll know, Rick Simpson if you're up in Canada. From I uploaded it 4 years ago again. I did it in like 2015, and this was the second interview. Okay, that's the short one. A little clip out of it. But there's a full interview with Rick, about 2 hours. Let's see. Where is it? Oh, there it is, right there. Oh, yeah, 7 years ago is when I originally uploaded it. A 2 hour interview. And this is the second one I did it. And for some reason, my damn program did not record it. So I had to call Rick back, and we did it again the following week. He was feeling a lot, not as good as he was the week before. So it's a little more, less jovial than the original one. Kind of sucks, but it's just as good, just great information. But anyways, thinking about how to handle that, because I want to kind of start talking. I'm a politically minded person, and this shit's driving me nuts. Most people that know anything about cannabis know who Rick Simpson is. So, well, appreciate it, sir. But yeah, I'm gonna try to get more busy doing not just RC stuff. My breakaway. It's my breakaway sanity minder. But I got a lot of things I need to say about the just insanity going on, not just in Michigan or in the state of Michigan or in the country of the United States, but all over the place, including our crazy ass guy running the country to the north. So that's for the other channel. But anyways, yeah, I'm gonna head off. Thanks for hanging out, guys. Appreciate it, Bushman. Dirt, you guys have a good one. Anybody else hanging? Appreciate it. Again, hit that like, share, subscribe, and we'll talk to you again soon. Remember how to turn this thing off.